I just had a retreat with my audience, and it went really well. At the end of the retreat, I did a soft launch for my monthly and annual membership program. That part didn't go very well. The feedback I got was the weekend was awesome. Everybody loved it and they felt like very connected and everything was authentic and so on and so forth. And then at the very end, when I did my pitch, they felt like, what the heck is this? Like, this is not the vibe we've been getting all weekend. And it felt slimy, some people even said. So I got pretty negative feedback with that. The method I did it was exactly what my coach told me to do, which is, because I was already kind of like, I don't know if it aligns with me, like doing this pitch at the very end after, this weekend of just very honest and open sharing and things like that. And so to me, even it felt misaligned. So I agree with the people and it's a good learning experience. But I guess one of my questions is, one, how do I do this in a way that doesn't come across that way, even though I do need to promote my services? And the second part is, I was also told that I was asking the question, should I be doing like a monthly webinar or something to kind of promote the membership to get people in the door? And I was told no, because it's not high ticket enough to do that. So just do promote it in your newsletter, in your social media feed and all that. And I've done that, but there's like zero response because I guess, it's kind of a cold sell, I guess, in a way. And again, I feel like I'm coached to do a certain thing, but it's not really working the way I'm hoping to. So maybe you can help me to clarify or to brainstorm something else. Yeah.
And thanks for the openness. And so the pitch at the event was some like outside person, obviously not Founder OS, that kind of is giving you some coaching on how to pitch someone, how to pitch a group.
It was my Founder OS coach that told me how and went through my slides with me to make sure that it sounded okay.
Yeah.
I think my feeling is that it would have worked in any other industry, but because of my industry, it's a little, I don't know, maybe it doesn't work the same. I have no idea.
Okay.
Do you need a refresh of what I do, or I don't know?
No. I'm just thinking, what's the main thing that you want my help with? Is it how to make money from live pitch to your community? Is it how to run workshops to the community? Is it bridging like how to basically pitch without being salesy in general and different forms I'd recommend to do that with your community? What's most useful?
I think two things. One is, how do I come across so that it doesn't sound slimy, even though I'm using the template that I was given by Founder OS. And I'm wondering if it's not made for my niche, perhaps, and is more business-like. That's one thing. The second one is, should I be doing these monthly webinars like how you do to get people into my membership? Because right now, by doing the emails and social media, it's not getting any bites.
Cool. And Noose is just asking in the chat here, just so I guess everyone can follow along. Do you want to just give like a quick kind of like a couple sentences on your offer, just that everyone can kind of follow along?
Yeah. So I'm a clinical psychologist by trade, but I'm doing a relationship coaching program, membership online group coaching. So that's what I'm trying to promote.
Cool. Thank you. All right. So first off, in terms of, so I've probably had like, 3 to 5 people advise me on workshops over the years. On the live event pitching side, I've probably studied between say 3 and 5 as well. And they're pretty different worlds, to be transparent. There's similarities between them in terms of like, you're pitching, but there's also like a lot of differences. And let me describe some things I've learned in both of these arenas. Okay. So something that I think remains true in both of these as I speak through this, that's probably the most important thing, is that there is no one size fits all approach. Okay. And probably the two things that matter the most in it, which are tricky because everyone will tell you to do it this way or that way, or there's this, pitch at the beginning, pitch at the end, pitch this way, pitch that way. Don't pitch, make it conversational, make it entertaining, so forth. I think you have to be yourself, number one, and do what's true to you. And the second part is you have to be true to the community. Okay. And that is like what's important, number one and number two. And then there's like the tactics, the systems, the strategies, all that. And the tricky part as a founder is you're entering either of these worlds, whether it's pitching people a live event or pitching at a workshop, webinar, masterclass, whatever, is that again, you got to be true to yourself and the way that you want to show up. And you got to be true to the community. And the tricky part about that sometimes, amongst a few things, is having the courage to go with your own gut, your own intuition, versus taking verbatim what anyone says as the way to do it when they don't know you on a deep, deep level and they don't know your community on a deep, deep level. Only you do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let me describe this like what I've experienced before. So maybe it can be like relatable versus talk like kind of like assuming certain things that you've experienced. Okay.
Okay.
I've had someone for a Founder OS event, right, encourage me to do like a pitch that was like super sort of like staged and very kind of psychological. Okay. Which I won't get into all the details of it. Right. I was just kind of learning from someone. It was like an interesting, I was like, this is what this guy does. He's like an event pitch guy. And I was like, like I've heard your name come up. I'm curious, just like, what is this? So I did a couple of sessions and quickly realized, after we had gone through, I'd seen this deck. He almost replicates this deck for every event he does. There's a certain way he talks about things, a certain way he goes about it. Everyone that raises their hand walks to the back of the room. And when they're now at the back of the room, they do this song and dance to kind of get them to close. And it was this whole kind of orchestrated thing. Okay. And what I couldn't help but feel almost from the get-go is like, this is just not the way we do things. This is like way too much of a sell. This is like insane. Okay. And while his method and the way he does things obviously works and he's done it, and like, there's no knocking that. And he's one of the best for it. I couldn't just help but feel just like, this just ain't me, number one. And this just isn't Founder OS, number two, where like one of the major things we do is like not being salesy. And this was really salesy. Okay. So in that, I had to kind of decide on, okay, well, there's maybe pieces I've learned from this guy that I thought were interesting, but net of the, 100 things he's taught me, only 2 or 3 like are resonant with my community. And I got to be discerning on what's actually going to make sense based on what I feel actually comfortable with that feels on brand for me. And then what also feels like on brand with the community. And that part can be really tricky because it's very much like it's discernment, it's judgment, it's intuition, it's your own taste. And you know what's true in that arena. And so like what things are going to be, advised, right? Having a story, having a hook, having an offer, maybe doing it at the end when it makes sense, putting it out there, but not being overly pushy, trying to do it maybe in just like 5 minutes or less. Some people are going to tell you to really hammer it and go through it and really go for it. What I've learned, doesn't matter what arenas I do it in, what always feels true to me is mention it, go over it, and then keep it casual. Like, if you want to do it, this is it. If you don't, totally cool. Thanks for hearing me out. If you have any questions, you can hit me or my team up after. No stress. And kind of move along. And I'm going to do my best to kind of just, again, keep it chill, keep it kind of not pushy, not overboard, and not more than 5 minutes, and just move along. Um, so the more specific thing I can say for a second too is like you only learn this stuff too, Gloria, by like doing what you just did. Because honestly, on the other side of it, you could have potentially closed a bunch, it went really well, and learned that, oh shit, my community is really receptive to this style, this way I did things. Right. And you only really learn from like just trying shit out. Right.
Yeah.
And I've tried a bunch of different, I've done over 30 different workshops. Every one is different. And I'm still trying new things. Right. In terms of being in groups and pitching groups of people like one to many, I've done that 36 plus times, let's say. Right. And so I think in that sense, like the good news is you're one step further than you were 3 weeks ago because you kind of now, okay, you know what? Actually, I'd adjust course a bit. I wouldn't do it this way next time. I would do it this way. I would make it more chill. I learned that people are a little bit allergic to that way of pitching. I'm going to do it this more subtle, just chill way next time. And just kind of adjust now that you know, like what your community's barometer is for that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. And also just what feels true to you, which now, you know, you had to get started somewhere. Honestly, generally the first time doing any of these kinds of things is kind of like quote unquote messy. I don't think your experience right now is like all that weird or different. I think it's kind of like what it looks like to kind of like put yourself out there in a new arena with a new community and just give it a shot pitching something and then realizing, okay, next time, you know, I'm going to do these different things. You know, the learning curve is generally most steep at the beginning and you're right there in the beginning right now, kind of just like putting yourself in the arena and learning. And I think what maybe you've learned is like, okay, next time I'm going to make it more casual. Next time I'm going to make it less pitchy, more just like turn off the slides, turn off the tech, just in a circle of people mention like, hey, if you're interested in working with me and doing more of this stuff, this is what I do inside of this container. No pressure at all. You can hit me up after if you're interested. If not, no sweat. That's it. That's the pitch. All right, guys. Fun event. Like, look forward to the next part of it or whatever, you know? So
Yeah.
I don't want to dominate. Just some thoughts.
Yeah, that was my original pitch, by the way. And that was in the slides. And that's when I was corrected and said, no, you gotta, because it was like 5 minutes and it was very casual, just mentioning and all that. And I think that would have worked really well. But I was told, no, you got to expand it. It has to be around half an hour to really help people to understand what they're getting, the value they're getting, and give some urgency so that people want to sign up right away. I'm like, I get it. I get it from a business point of view and marketing point of view, but it just felt, even for me. So you're right. I mean, it's a great lesson for me to learn to just stick with my gut and to know my audience and to, yeah, because it made me feel it made me feel slimy and it made me feel sad that people received it that way after like a great weekend. So that's the only regret that I have, but I do take it as a learning. And I thank you for even just affirming what I felt already to just kind of go with what feels true to me and that there's no one right way of doing it. So I appreciate that feedback.
Yeah, I think sometimes the thing that can be tricky with this, just in general, with let's keep talking about this arena is like two things can both be true at once. You know what I mean? It can both be true that it's important to like give people context as to what it would be and all of that, but it can also be true that like in the setting that you're in the container that you're building, it makes sense to kind of dial that back a bit, and those that are interested will come to you and then invite you to then give them more information. And again, you've kind of learned now, like, oh, okay, it was a kind of a toss up maybe at first. It's like, could go this way, could go this way, like 50-50 maybe at the end of the day.
Yep.
You chose one, good on you. Like it was what it was. Now just go the other approach, you know? And yeah, I totally get the feeling too of like, damn it, like I kind of thought that at first and then I went this direction with it. And that's totally, that makes sense. I would feel the same way in your shoes. With all that though, I also think there's a blessing in all of it. And now an opportunity, like you left that event and having done it, you now know what's most true and you can now double down on that path going forward. So yeah, that's kind of how I would look at it. It's tricky with like event pitching and all that. I will say, like, I've done a lot of things and I've learned a lot of things. That skill set and that school of like learning that is really, really, really tricky
Mhm.
to be open with you. It really
Yeah.
is. And I find the most tricky part of it is the threading of the needle between the three things I just said, right? Which is how to do it, like the academic, or whether it's Founder OS or reading books like One to Many, or how Russell does it, or how Tony Robbins does it, or who knows what, right? There's the academy of how to do it. And then there's like what's true for you and feels natural. The same way I sell is going to be different than how you sell, different from how Aneta sells. And then the community and like the culture of the community, which Founder Us has its own culture, which is pretty like chill. People just looking to have a good time, help one another. We're all in this together, non-salesy, super chill kind of vibe, right? Whereas others are totally almost excited to see how the founder pitches it because that's like a thing they look forward to. And then there's like everything in between, right? So I think now you're getting a sense of like that barometer and that middle ground, that threading of the needle, and now you'll just be that much better next time.
Okay. Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I just take it as really a good learning experience for me because I don't know what I don't know. And I was just listening to people who are more experienced than me, and which is great. Which leads into my second part. My gut is telling me that I need to do some sort of like a webinar or something monthly to get people to understand what I'm doing and to get a taste of my services. But I was told not to do that at the price point that I'm launching this at, which is like, because I've never done a membership before. I'm launching at 3,997 per year, which is nothing.
Yeah, so 3,997 I don't think is nothing. I mean, I think
Well, it's not like a high ticket, but it's enough for people that it's something for
yeah,
sure.
exactly. No, so I can't speak for everyone in terms of like, there's always going to be multiple directions you can go with things. Okay, I can just speak into a workshop, a webinar, a masterclass can work in a lot of businesses. And in this offer you're talking about, it can work in that. In terms of how it is orchestrated and how it goes down, yeah, again, it's going to be like making sure it's true to you, to the community in the general way. The general format to these is typically kind of a hook, a general story as to how you created the thing or how you came to some learnings, sharing some value with people over a little bit, and then mentioning what you do and how they could work with you on a deeper level. So I think the main thing you want to think about is, okay, what's that kind of, what's in your zone of genius that you really enjoy sharing with people, mixed with also that thing that when people feel that or experience that from you, they have like some light bulb moments and are like, damn, I really need to work with this person. And if you can recreate that in, again, a workshop, a webinar, whatever you want to call it, and then based on your product of 3,997 or whatever, like you can totally sell that via a workshop and get putting in the reps there. So,
Okay. So would you recommend that I do some sort of a monthly workshop or something like that? Or is there a better way?
I would say I can speak from like what I know works for like me, and what I would like in my own business. It was something that I experimented with in both Herb and Founder Us a few years ago.
Mhm.
Went really well. And I was inspired by other founders I'd seen doing it. And it felt like it had kind of lost steam online a lot. Like people don't talk about it that much. But I was like, I'm going to try this kind of older school technique. And it crushed, right? And it's probably responsible for around 35% of Founder OS's business every year, as an example. Yeah, I would definitely like recommend it if it feels like something you'd be excited to do, that you'd enjoy, and that you could really commit to, because like anything, it's a long game. Nothing we do at Founder OS, nothing I recommend generally is some like short-term win type stuff. It's something you have to like invest in and really stick with. It's going to be a new muscle to train. So I do recommend it in the same way I would recommend if someone was like, I enjoy video and I want to start doing YouTube. Is that something you'd recommend? It's like, well, yeah, if you're feeling intuitively like you'd like to move that direction, yeah, YouTube drives 4x more leads than the rest of our platforms combined right now. So hell yeah, it's a beast. Are you excited by it? Yeah, I'd love you to. Okay, well then go for it. If it's something on the other side, not saying this is with you, but just someone else is saying, oh, heard YouTube you can make a killing on it. I was going to try it out for a couple months, see how it is. That person, I'd be like, Don't even go there, right? It takes an investment. It takes like a commitment, right? Like most good things. So I would say the same thing with workshops. Like if it's something you could see yourself doing and refining and getting good with and connecting with your community for a year and refining that skill every month and getting better, then do it. When I started signing up to do it, I was like, I'm going to do these little online workshops and I hope one day in 5 years to be able to fill a stadium. That's how long term and big I was thinking with it. It wasn't just like a 2-month test to see if I could make a quick buck. So I think if you're thinking long term about it and you're committed to it, you should do it. So that'd be my answer.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.